अपनी अनंत किरणें पाए सा पसारे, अपनी अनंत किरणें पाए सा पसारे। गुण शक्तियों की माला हमारे गले में डारे, बाबा तुम हमारे ओ बाबा प्यारे प्यारे। शीतल सी ये रश्मियाँ हम पर बिखर रही हैं, आनंद की फुहारें प्रतिपल बरस रही हैं। शीतल सी ये रश्मियाँ हम पर बिखर रही हैं, आनंद की फुहारें प्रतिपल बरस रही हैं। अनुभूतियों में रंगे रूहानी ये इशारे, बाबा तुम हमारे ओ बाबा प्यारे प्यारे। जो बीज में है एक विशाल तरवर समाया, तुम में होकर लवलीन तुम सा स्वरूप पाया। जो बीज में है एक विशाल तरवर समाया, तुम में होकर लवलीन तुम सा स्वरूप पाया। अव्यक्त है अनूठे न्यारे ये नजारे, बाबा तुम हमारे ओ बाबा प्यारे प्यारे। हे ब्रह्म घर में ये अरुणिमा सी फैली है लाली, अनुपम ये शाश्वत है शांति सुख की छटा निराली। हे ब्रह्म घर में ये अरुणिमा सी फैली है लाली,
Om Shanti. Good morning. Om Shanti. Good morning. Is the sound okay?
Yeah, the sound sounds good. Maybe a little bit. Let's see if it's just speak a little bit more.
A little Om Shanti. Is this better?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So good morning, and today we have a very beautiful Murli connected to some of the things that Baba has been speaking about. So if you recall, in a couple of weeks ago, Baba was doing the Murli of the end of the year, and he was introducing the new year. And then Baba spoke of the first Murli for 88, and then he was talking about the coming close of 18 January in preparation. So I feel in a way today the Murli that Baba is speaking about is helping us home in on the little things that's causing our problems. Because if you think about it, 18 January is the celebration of Brahma Baba becoming Karmatit. So the sample that was able to reach the destination. And so what are the things that actually Baba is preparing us so that we can also get to that stage? So one thing that we all appreciate is to be happy, isn't it? We all want to be happy souls. And Baba is saying that there are things that take away our happiness, and he's showing us how to examine it. So there are things that we do in a natural way. We wake up early in the morning, we are vegetarian, we come to Murli class even. But imagine when you wake up for Amrit Vela and you get all ready and you go and sit and you fall off to sleep. But after 45 minutes, you'll say, okay, I woke up for Amrit Vela. You can come for morning class, you listen to Baba's Murli. But while you're sitting in Murli class, you'll remember, oh, today I have to do this, that happened. Happening, physically doing everything that Baba wants us to do in terms of following Srimad. But what's actually happening is that we're not doing it 100% in terms of the accuracy. And what you're going to see is that if we follow Srimad just because we're ticking the box, then we're going to find it's just something that we do. But if we understand why we do it, then actually we're going to get a deep sense of attainment. And Baba is saying that when we do it with this beautiful experience of why we do it, then even though we do lots of things, there won't be an experience of sorrow. Not sorrow in a sense, labor. We don't get tired. So those are some of the points Baba's highlighting. So the Murli today, Baba spoke this Murli on the 14th of January in 1988. And the title is, The Reason for Unhappiness is Disobedience in Little Things. The reason for unhappiness is disobedience in little things. Today, the unlimited, greatest of all fathers, the Father who makes you the highest of all, is especially seeing his children, who out of all the children everywhere are obedient. Will you put yourself in the line of being obedient? All consider themselves to be obedient children, but they are number-wise. Some are always obedient, whereas others are obedient, but not always. All the children are in the list of obedient children, but there is definitely a difference. The Father who gives instructions gives all the children the same instructions at the same time. He doesn't give a variety of directions or separate directions to individuals. So why is it still number-wise then? Those who are always easy embodiments of the awareness of the Father's instructions in every thought and every action automatically move along with their every thought, word, and action in accordance with those instructions. Whereas those who do not become embodiment of that awareness repeatedly have to bring them in their awareness. So smriti is something we've been talking about this month, which means the embodiment of awareness. So when I'm performing any instruction based on understanding and the awareness of it, then there's no experience of labor or tiredness. Sometimes, because of having that awareness, they move along whilst being obedient, whereas other times they remember the instruction after moving along, because they are not embodiments of the awareness of instructions, because they don't experience in their actions the instant and visible fruit of elevated actions. They remember later, when the action is over, why they received that result. They check themselves after performing the action, and they thereby understand that they haven't experienced the visible fruit because they were not moving along according to the Father's directions. That is not being an embodiment of the awareness of the instructions, but having the awareness after seeing the fruit of your actions. So, number one is easily and automatically being an embodiment of awareness and being obedient. The second number are those who sometimes perform actions with the awareness and sometimes have the awareness after performing the actions. Don't even ask about the third number. There are two rosaries. The first is a small rosary and the second is a bigger rosary. There is no rosary of the third number. This is why Baba is only speaking of two categories. Because they perform action according to instructions from Amrit Vela throughout the day till night time, number one, obedient children do not experience having to labor in any action, but they experience the special fruit of blessings from the Father as the fruit of their obedience. This is because obedient children always receive blessings from the heart of Bap Dada to step. Therefore, because of receiving blessings from the heart, their every action is fruitful. For action is the seed, and the attainment from that seed is fruit. Because the seed, that is the action of every number one obedient soul, is powerful, they experience contentment and success as the fruit of every action. There can be contentment with the self, with the result of action, and also in their connection and relationship with many souls. The number one obedient souls naturally and constantly experience all three types of contentment. So contentment with the self, Baba is content with you, and others are content with you. However, sometimes children are content with their own actions, that they perform very good actions with the right method, and yet at other times they are not able to see the fruit of contentment as much as they would like, as much as they think they should. In some cases, they are content with themselves, they are content with their fruit, but there isn't contentment in the connection and relationships. So what would not be called being a number one soul of being? So that would not be called being a number one obedient soul. A number one obedient soul would experience contentment in all three things. So Baba just qualifying what the number one soul is. But now Baba is saying, according to the present time, some souls sometimes experience themselves to be discontent with some elevated, obedient children. You would think that there is no one with whom everyone is content. Someone or the other would always be disobedient, discontent, but there are many reasons for that. Because of not knowing their own reasons, there is misunderstanding. Secondly, according to their own intellects, they have too many desires or expectations of the seniors, and when these expectations are not fulfilled, they become discontent. Thirdly, because of their past sanskaras and nature and karmic account of some souls, those who should become content are not content. Because of this, there is no reason why others should be discontent with number one, obedient souls or elevated souls, but they do remain discontent due to their own reasons. So you know what happens sometimes when somebody becomes discontent with another person? We use that as a reason to say, you see, everyone gets discontent with this one, so I can also be discontent. But Baba is saying that discontentment sometimes can be a personal thing, not because of the actions of that person. So because of this, there is no reason why others should be discontent with number one, obedient or elevated souls. But they do remain discontent due to their own reasons. This is why in some cases, it seems as though someone is discontent with everyone. However, in that too, the majority is the least, at least 95% would be content. So there's a 5%. 5% would be seen as discontent. So the majority of the number one obedient souls would make others content in all three ways, because they constantly perform every elevated action according to instructions. Because of being content after performing every action, their minds or intellects would not be repeatedly disturbed by their actions, whether they do the right thing or not. Those in the second category often have thoughts in their minds after performing the action as to whether they did the right thing or not. In your language, you speak of this as your conscience biting, because they do everything because you did not do the right thing. The conscience of a number one obedient soul would never bite. It's a good checking point. Because they do everything according to instructions, they always remain light, for they don't have any burden of the bondage of karma. You were told earlier too that one is to have a relationship of karma and the other is to perform actions under the bondage of karma. So, a number one soul comes into the relationship of karma and is therefore always light. In every action, because of receiving special blessings from Bab Dada, a number one soul would constantly experience internal willpower as a result of blessings. Such a soul would always experience supersensuous joy. He would always experience himself to be full. So nice checking points that Baba is saying. One, you will not have any feelings of your conscience biting, but the feeling of full all the time. Do you know what some children sometimes say when they put the conditions of their heart in front of the father? They say, Baba, I don't know why, but today I feel empty inside. Nothing much has happened as such, but yet there isn't the experience of perfection or happiness. At that time, they didn't perform any wrong action or make a little mistake, but while moving along, because of being ignorant or careless, from time to time, they don't do everything according to instructions. So firstly, a burden of disobedience to time pulls you towards itself at some time. So we waste time here and there, Papa says. So disobedience to time. And this is something we can churn. What are the disobediences to time? Just as the strong sanskaras and nature of the previous birth sometimes pull you towards themselves, even against your conscious wish. Similarly, from time to time, the burden of your disobedience sometimes pulls you towards itself. Those are karmic accounts of the past, and these are karmic accounts of the present time. Because no account, whether of this birth or of past births, can be burnt without you being in a stage of an embodiment of the fire of love. I'll repeat that. So those are karmic accounts of the past, and these are karmic accounts of the present time, because no account, whether of this birth or past births, can be burned without your being in a stage of an embodiment of the fire of love. Because you do not constantly have the stage of being an embodiment of this fire, that is, because you do not constantly have the stage of powerful remembrance of the seed stage, of being a lighthouse, of being a might house, you are unable to burn your karmic accounts, and that is why the accounts that still remain pull you towards itself. The quality of yoga that creates transformation of our sanskaras. You don't make a mistake at that time, and yet you feel, I don't know what happened. Sometimes your mind won't be able to stay in remembrance or in service, and sometimes there will be waves of unhappiness. One is to experience peace through knowledge, and the other is peace of dead silence, where there is no happiness or bliss. So people just remain aloof, they don't talk to anybody, they become very quiet. Sometimes that quiet, Baba says, if it doesn't have bliss in it, it is not good. All of these things are signs of being disobedient in one way or the other. The burden of karma pulls you. So, I want to retract from people. I want to be alone. I don't want to get involved in the gathering. Baba is saying these are also signs that I've been disobedient. One form of disobedience is to commit a sin or to make a big mistake. And the second is disobedient in little things. For instance, the father's instructions is Amrit Vela, stay in powerful remembrance according to the right discipline. So what would you say if you do not observe this instruction at Amrit Vela? Would that be being disobedient, or no? Would that be being obedient or disobedient? perform every action as a karma yogi with the feeling of being an instrument and with humility. You have these instructions. There is a long list of these, but Baba is just quoting one as an example. You have been given instructions for everything, your vision, your attitude, etc. Out of all of these instructions, if you don't follow any instruction in the right way, it is known as being disobedient in little things. If you continue to accumulate this account, it will definitely pull you towards itself. And this is why you say that you are unable to accumulate as much as you want. When you are asked, are you moving along okay? You will say yes. However, when you ask if you are accumulating as much as you should, you then have to think about it. Whilst receiving so many signals, whilst being knowledgeful, if you are still unable to accumulate as much as you should, what is the reason for that? The burden of the past and the present do not allow you to become double light. Sometimes you become double light, and sometimes the burden brings you down. You don't constantly experience the stage of supersensuous joy and peace filled with happiness. You don't experience the attainment of the lift of special blessings from Bab Dada for being obedient. This is why you sometimes find it easy, and at other times you find it to have a labor. You very clearly heard about the number 2, and they become the beads of the second number rosary. So you want to be part of the first rosary, do you not? Is that true? Then you will say, nothing is difficult. The instructions for the first step are very clear. So it is easy or difficult to move along according to that. The instructions are the Father's. How does Baba give us instructions every day? Brahma Baba's footsteps. So he said, the instructions of the Father's footsteps. So it is easy to place your step in his footstep, is it not? You can see the connection, 18 January, all of the way Baba carried out his activities. And those are the steps that we can take. In any case, all of you are true sitas, that is brides. So the brides place their step in his footstep, do they not? This is the method. So what is difficult in the relationship of a child to a child is one who follows the footsteps of the father, one who does what the father says. The father speaks and the child does. Can we be that obedient? Baba says, and I just do it. We don't say, but Baba, why must I do it? Baba says, and I do it. This is known as being number 1 obedient. So check and change yourself. Acha, to the most obedient, elevated souls everywhere. To the special souls who always experience the blessings received from the Father. To the great souls who always experience contentment and success in every action. To the obedient children who place their steps in the Father's footsteps. Bab Dada's love, remembrances, and namaste. then Baba meeting groups. Do you always consider yourself to be spiritual pilgrims? A nice practice. Whilst on the pilgrimage, what do you remember? You only remember the place you have to go to. Has anyone gone to any of the physical pilgrimage places? You have gone. So Baba says, if you remember anything else, you make effort to forget that. If you go on a pilgrimage to a goddess, then you continue to say along the way, salutations to the mother, salutations to the mother. If you remember anyone else, it is not to be considered to be good. You remind one another, remember the mother, goddess. Do not remember your home and children. Remember the mother. So, what do the spiritual pilgrims always remember? Do you remember your home, the supreme abode? That is where you have to go. So, do you remember both your home and your kingdom, heaven? Or do you also remember other things? Do we remember other things? Everyone is sitting like they don't remember anything else. We know how many other things happen in our head, right? There's a few freeways that go quite naturally out of our mind. So you don't remember the old world, do you? I was asking, do you not remember the old world? It should not be that because you are here living in this world, you remember it. Whilst living in it, remain separate from it, because the more detached you are, the more you will be able to remember the Father with love. So check, whilst living in the old world, are you trapped in the old world? A lotus lives in the mud, but is separate from it. So you have to live here for service, not out of attachment. So you mothers do not have attachment, do you? You think only mothers have attachment? Today Baba is showing a very interesting sign. He said, so mothers, he's talking about the children. So you mothers do not have attachment, do you? If something happens to your grandchild, sister, of yours, would you have attachment to them? Okay, you're not saying anything. If the grandchild cries, does your mind cry? Where there is attachment, the sorrow of others is felt to be your own sorrow. It should not be that because the child has a fever, you also have a fever in your mind. Attachment pulls you. Of course, there will be papers. Sometimes your grandchild would not be well. Someone or another, sometimes another. Sometimes there will be problems about money. And whose attachment will come out now? Sometimes there'll be problems of your own ill health. All of that will happen, but you must always remain detached. Do not become attached. Are you free from attachment to this extent? Mothers have attachment in relationships, whereas men have attachment to money. Men have attachment. So Baba is connecting the money aspect to work and the responsibilities. So Baba says, mothers have attachment in relationship, whereas men have attachment to money. In earning money, they even forget to have remembrance. To work for the sake of the livelihood of your body is one thing, but to become so engrossed in that, you forget your study, and the practice of remembrance is to have, I'm reading it again. So, To work for the sake of the livelihood of your body is one thing, but to become so engrossed in that you forget your study and your practice of remembrance is to have attachment. So you don't have attachment, do you? What will you say? You don't have attachment, right? The more you become a conqueror of attachment, the more you will become an embodiment of remembrance. Then Baba is speaking to the Kumars. You are Kumars who will perform wonders, are you not? What wonders will you show? You always have enthusiasm to reveal the Father. But what is the method for that? Nowadays, everyone's vision is on the youth. Let spiritual youth give such an experience of the power of peace with the power of their minds, their words, and their activities, that people understand that you will bring about revolution with the power of peace. Bringing revolution with the power of peace. Just as force is visible on the face and in the activities of physical youth, when you see them, you can tell that they are in their youth. In the same way, let them experience peace from your faces and your activities. This is known as being one who performs wonders. Let there be this vibration from each one's attitude. Just as you receive the vibration from their faces and their activities, that they are those with a violent attitude, in the same way, let them experience rays of peace from your vibrations. Show such wonders. When everyone carries out something revolutionary, everyone's attention is drawn. In the same way, let everyone's attention be drawn to you. So let's start a revolution and put up our placards and attract some attention. But Baba's giving the Kumars this job. Do such unlimited service, because when you relate knowledge, they like it. But transformation only takes place when they see someone with experience. Do something unique and show everyone. Even mothers serve with words. Instrument sisters also do this service. But you have to show some newness so that the government's attention is drawn. When the sun rises, everyone's attention automatically is drawn to it. That light is coming. In the same way, let everyone's attention be drawn to you. Do you understand? So Baba really wants us to do something so that everyone's attention is drawn to the work that Baba is doing. Today's blessing. May you be God's helper who brings success to tired and desperate souls. May you be God's helpers who bring success to tired and desperate souls. First, we must make sure we finish the tiredness in us, isn't it? So powerful blessing connected to Baba's Murli. You souls have a desire or hope for a long time to go to Nirvana or to the land of liberation. And it is for this that they have been making various kinds of spiritual endeavor over many births and have become tired. Everyone now wants success, and not just to make spiritual endeavor. Success means salvation, and so, in order to quench the thirst of thirsty souls, tired and desperate souls, you elevated souls with your power of silence, and all your powers have to bring them success in a second. You would then be said to be God's helpers. And then the slogan, weak sanskaras are the gate through which Maya, the thief, enters. So now close this gate. Om Shanti. So Baba's Murli is really powerful. Gives us like definitely a good direction. And if we keep the context of the Murli and realize that Baba is preparing us for the 18th of January, and in other words, Baba is preparing us to finish off the little things that are in the way of our complete stage. So good things to monitor today. If I'm getting tired, if I'm feeling that it's a burden, it's an effort, it's not easy, all of those are signs. If my conscience is biting, those are kind of signs that there's little bits of disobediences here and there. And, Baba is saying that they're going to be tests. People are going to come and challenge you. But if you are obedient, then you won't fluctuate. You will remain light and easy. So that's a nice way for us to check ourselves. So I'm going to read you the Mama signals. And then, unfortunately, I have to leave at 8 because there's a program. So I would like somebody to help us to do Murli revision, and we can hand you over. But as you know, we've been studying Baba's this how to make them powerful. And I thought it was really something beautiful how every day we have clarity in the things that actually stops us or comes in the way for me to make my mind powerful. So today's point, which is the 6th, when people are physically overweight, they are not flexible and cannot bend as and when they want. Similarly, when someone has a gross intellect, that is, if there is any type of wasteful burden or rubbish in the intellect, or there is some or the other type of impurity, then that someone is not able to mold his intellect as and when he wants. Therefore, you need a very clean and refined intellect that is a very subtle and divine, unlimited and broad intellect. So to keep the mind powerful, keep it clean, keep the intellect broad, and that will help. And today's effort from the Avyakt Parivar is we need to be those who give respect and regard to all. I'd actually like to read you the actual point so that when we practicing today, we can keep those thoughts in our mind. What is important for each one of us to remember is that whatever effort we're making, sometimes we think we're making it for somebody else. But I love how Daddy was encouraging us that these efforts that we're making, they're only improving our own state. So I might think I'm giving respect and regard to somebody else. But actually, by me having the practice of giving respect and regard, I'm actually looking after my own mind. I'm actually looking after my own state. So respect is not about what I give others, but what I'm actually doing is qualifying my own behavior. And that's really beautiful. So the point we were practicing at Amrit Vela was, I have spiritual love for all souls. But for the practice throughout the day, I have spiritual love for all souls and give regard and respect to each one. So during the day, whatever we're doing, hold these two things in mind. And today we're very lucky that we're having our family gathering. And of all the souls that we know in the Brahmin family, Brother Charlie has a clear record of always being constantly loving and giving regard to all. And he's going to be our spiritual resource. So definitely an invitation for all of us to be together. Those who want to stay back and spend the day here, most welcome. We'll have fun together as well. But we'll also meet on Zoom and have a a virtual tea party. So those who stay here will get real tea, and those who go home and have a virtual tea party, you can make your own tea. But I'm going to leave you with those thoughts and maybe just have a moment of silence. So say goodbye to the Zoom family, and we'll close our class here too. Om Shanti. So from the Zoom family, I see many souls. There's Brother Go. Whoever would like to conduct a little Murli revision, that will be beautiful. There's Sister Aruna and Kalpana.
Okay.
Please, thank you. Om
I can share some points, and whoever else would like to share, they're most welcome to share. So really, this highlight of Murli today about obedience, that's so important that every step that we are obedient, following Baba's instructions. If we want to be part of the rosary, then that is what we should be doing. Receive the certificate of contentment of the self from Baba and the family. Please unmute and share your points of practice. Anyone would like to share?
Om Shanti, Arunaben.
Om Shanti.
I was fascinated with this point about emptiness comes about when there is disobedience of time. And I'm trying to figure out what could be some of the aspects related to disobedience of time. I know punctuality probably is the closest thing, or it could be related to having a timetable for the mind, or keeping yourself actively involved in a day rather than wasting time, because an idle mind is like the devil's worship. So I think when you do not use your time in a worthwhile way, it can be a form of emptiness or malay. Om Shanti.
Yes, thank you, Brother Abhinal. So yeah, I think for me, the most important is the timetable. And Baba has set a timetable for our Brahman life. And so, yes, when we keep our mind engaged to that which is elevated, to that which is churning, the last Sunday's Murli on churning, that we're keeping that thoughts, that mind engage in churning, so then our time is then used in a worthwhile way, that we're not allowing it to get bored and letting other things enter. Anyone else? Okay, Brother Avinal, you want to play a song? Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
Life is what you make of it. It's the fire in your soul. If you keep on hiding it from the world, you will never know who will see the best in you and stand by you through the storms. So keep shining. It's time to be the real you and find out who you are. Take your own path and see who walks with you. The right ones will want to. Somewhere to stay, somewhere to go. Always remember they don't define who you are. Let them stay, let them go. Never forget you gotta love who you are. Somewhere to stay, somewhere to go. Always remember they don't define who you are. Let them stay, let them go. Never forget you gotta love who you are. And those who love the real you were meant for you.
Om Shanti, very powerful words of the song. Have a beautiful Sunday, and we will meet at our family Zoom meeting later. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you,
Om
Arunaben.
Om
Om
Shanti, Sister Audrey.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Jai. Seelan Bhai, Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, everyone.
Om Shanti.
Please, can you
Brother
confirm what's the name of the song that was just played, Arunaben?
Meant for You by Fearless.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Brother Avina? Sorry, you said that by Fearless.
Fearless. The group is called Fearless. I'll put it up on the BK study group.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. So we look forward to Brother Charlie.
What time will that be, please, sister?
The time, sorry? 11 a.m. Do you have the Zoom meeting